Yeah, I get a lot of tweets for Dave Carrol with 2 L's, who did the United Breaks Guitars fantastic song. All right, everyone stand up for a second. Stand up for 1 second. Quick. Put your arms out like this and go, Farginen. No, that was weak. They're really, really weak. Go like this. Farginen. Perfect. All right, you can sit down now. You've been sitting for some time. Farginen is this awesome Yiddish word that means to open wide space for. It's become one of my favorite words. And I want to tell you the story of the Kindness Project, Captain Kindness, and why social media is Farginen. When I was 20 some odd years old, early 20s, my wife and I got married. We were about 21 years old. We were young, dewy-eyed, idealistic, married people. And we decided that the first thing we were going to do when we got married was get on a plane and go to Africa. Neither of us had ever been on a plane before, let alone dreamed of going and living in Africa. But when I was a teenager, I used to listen to Paul Simon's Graceland album with Lady Smith, Black Mambazo doing the big South African dances and that kind of thing. And I thought, I really like Africa. So we got on a plane and we went to Ghana in West Africa. And it was beyond our wildest dreams awesome. We were 21 years old, shoved together in a tiny little World Vision orphanage. We learned a lot about life and marriage and culture really, really quick, all mixed in together with a lot of sweat. And because of the heat, not because of... We love the culture. I mean, we were there for 7 months, and we wanted to stay. We wanted to stay in Africa, to be honest. We thought, this is just such a beautiful place. The culture is unbelievable. People are incredibly kind here. Like, if you walk down the street, people will look at you in the eye and go, hello, my brother, how are you today? God bless you. Yes. So they would look you in the eye. They would invite you in. Strangers would invite you in for dinner. Families would take in their elderly grandparents. It was this incredible culture that I had never seen before, and to be totally honest, it made me incredibly sad about my culture. I was there for most of the time there, but my wife and I were Christians and we're church planters, and we were working planting churches, and to be honest, I knew that I was about to get on a plane and come back to Canada to churches that didn't like each other very much. Like if you go, I don't know if you've ever done this, but it's a lot of fun. If you're a Christian, this will really encourage you. When you type the words Christians are into Google, the words, the suggestions that pop up there are not exactly heartwarming. And I knew I was about to come back to a culture that it was going to hurt my heart a little bit to see what Canada was like. See, we're not a mean people, but we're not really involved in each other's lives. When you walk down the street and you look at somebody in the eye, they look down and look away because you're clearly a creeper. Like, and that's exactly how I felt when I got back to Canada. I felt like, wow, we're much colder than I ever thought that we were. Something needs to change. And so we got together with a bunch of other crazy lunatic dreamers, and we said, the church is a mess. Our culture needs change. I found something that our culture needs. Our culture needs kindness. We need to do something. And so about 10 of us got together and we started a church in downtown Brantford. We call it Freedom House. We bought a dirty old bar that they ran coke out of. There were head-sized holes in the wall where human heads have been shoved through at a very recent time. We cleaned blood splatter off of the walls. It was lovely. Just a beautiful place. And we learned just how bad this place was. This summer, we were tearing the place down and rebuilding it when people were turning tricks in our parking lot and coming to the kitchen looking for cocaine. So we realized this is maybe even more than what we bargained for. But we decided that we were going to get rid of our denomination. We said, that's just divisive. Let's try and bring people together instead of separating each other. And let's go and just do what the church was supposed to do and just serve the city, to serve people and to show God's love in a practical way. That's what we said. Period. Let's go do it. And so we bought this place, and the people around our big blue building in downtown Brantford, we had crack houses across the street where there were pimps whose wives were the prostitutes they pimped out, and they had a whole bunch of kids. At 2 o'clock in the morning, there would be a row of kids sitting on lawn chairs, sitting outside of crack houses. People would come down, give the kids drugs, and these 10, 11, even younger-year-old kids would be distributing drugs all throughout the city. And we thought, this is horrible, and we're planted in the middle of this, so we need to butt our nose into the middle of this somehow because not on my watch, you know? And so we started doing a free barbecue on Friday nights from 10 o'clock at night until 2 o'clock in the morning. All we decided to do is go, let's just do something. Let's be kind, and if we buy that kindness can change a city, buy good into good. If we buy this philosophically, then it should work in practice. So let's set up a barbecue, get 100 burgers, and just give them away and see what happens. And so we started doing that about 4 or 5 years ago on Friday nights, and what's happened is we got invited into crack houses. I was serving hot dogs to crack houses, which incidentally have a lot of kittens in it. I don't know why. A lot of kittens in the crack houses. But one guy almost got his nipple bit off, and I came that close to being stabbed. But aside from that, it was really, really fantastic. But just by going, hey, do you want a burger? Here's something for nothing. I care about you for no other reason aside you are a human being. People are confronted with the fact that our culture is lacking kindness. People don't know how to handle themselves when you give something to somebody for nothing other than you are a human and you are valuable. Here, have a burger. Let's talk about your life. And what have ended up happening out of this is truly, truly amazing. What has happened is here's the deal. We started just doing these kindness projects. And then a few years ago, the city of Brantford decided that the Santa Claus parade was going to be superhero themed. And we said, well, we're going to talk about kindness. We're going to go and do random acts of kindness. We need a superhero. And so Captain Kindness was born. So they took a kind of fat 30-something-year-old guy and stuck him in a giant red leotard, and I stood triumphantly on top of the float, and I stood like, this is my Captain Kindness pose, and I said, Brantford, people of Brantford can be changed by good into good. Do you believe this city? And I did my creepy little Captain Kindness laugh. And the float won the award for the best float in the parade. And I'm going to be honest, as a kind of fat 35-year-old guy, I spend far more time in a red leotard than I really wish that I did. My phone has not stopped ringing, or email or Twitter or whatever, and I'm going to get to the social media part in a second, but I cannot get out of this leotard and mask. And Captain Kindness has become this little bizarre phenomenon that has spawned the things that we really care about, which is creating a project in Brantford where we're asking our city to be intentionally kind to each other. We're asking the schools to think about how to be kind to the neighborhoods to think about how they can be kind to business thinking about how they can be kind to the church thinking about how they can be kind to politicians thinking how they can just be kind. And social media has been the driver. I work in traditional media, I work in radio, I do marketing, yada, 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 yada. But the reality is that social media has been the driver. Oh, by the way, I am Dave Carrol with one L up there. So the folk singer from New Brunswick is going to get a lot of good tweets today. He's going to go, I really killed at this conference today. Maybe you will get him next year now. The thing is that the superhero part of this whole thing is the thing that interests me the least. For some reason, there is a movement of people dressing up like superheroes and running through the city as superheroes. And there are people that dream, Julia, that one day they would be superheroes. Are there comic book people here? Are there people who grew up reading comic books and said, I'm going to be I was not one of those people. I'm living somebody's dream. It's not necessarily mine. But what this has done, the superhero has done the thing that I actually care about, and that's spurring people into action to think about how they can be kind and change their city by good into good. And this has translated to business who come to us and go, how do we be kind? Help us be kind, because we're not used to being kind. We're starting to make programs in elementary schools to help use kindness to solve bullying issues in schools. The school boards are just letting us into, at this point, we've created Captain Kindness comic books, and we're going into schools. The politicians on all three levels and all three parties, even all three major parties, have all come to talk to us about how we can really create a strategy in the city on how Brantford could be known as the kindest kind of city you could ever know, the kindest city in Canada. Is Brantford the kindest city in Canada? Absolutely not, because every Friday night, I watch things from stabbings to this Friday night when we did this barbecue. I had a young native Canadian guy who came up to me in a rage. We were giving away. I don't wear the mask when we do burgers on Friday nights. There's some scenarios that work for the superhero and some that don't. But he was in a rage, and he had just gotten a fist fight with a police officer, and he came up to me just angry. He was from a tribe that there was only 1,500 left, and he feels like he's supposed to take some responsibility and be a leader, and he doesn't know how to do it because of problems X, Y, Z. And I talked to him on Friday night. I gave him a burger. It created the context to talk to him about life. I chatted with him for 15 minutes, and at the end of the night, he broke down and cried and gave me a hug and said, I was going to go home and kill myself, and you just saved my life. And all I did was give a burger and say, I care about you. I don't know who you are, but I care about you. The thing, yeah. Real quick. The thing that the superhero does is the real meaning of kindness. When you break down by definition kindness means showing benevolence. It's an action step. Take it back a little bit. Benevolence is an attitude of your disposition. But benevolence talks about your disposition. If you take it back further, your disposition is the things you have inside of you, who you are. And Captain Kindness, I don't care about doing the acts of kindness as the captain. I do, and it's a great show, but it isn't about a superhero doing the acts of kindness, because this Captain Kindness speaks to people's dispositions. It speaks to their life, and it makes people look inside of them to their own heart. When their heart changes, their attitude changes, and then kindness begins to burst out of people. See, this is just the context to be able to talk to people and create everyday superheroes in real life. And social media, Twitter, is the way that I just rip my life open, and I've said, you know what, whatever I'm going to do tonight, life is not about me, it's about others. And so I challenge you with your social media streams, remember that's about other people, not about you, and that you can create a farganin scenario, a wide open spaces for other people to thrive when you consider that other people are more important than ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you.